Right, guys, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Year 7's live lesson, okay? Have a go. When you tuned in, comments are going off. Have a go at what's in front of you, please. Have a go at starter for today. Again, we are looking at the similar topics each time. It is really useful to repeat them. Again, it will embed them in your brain. Okay, have a go at those for me, please. When you're ready, make a start, and then we'll get cracking. Right, guys, I'll give you 4 or 5 minutes to get all of that done for me. Right, guys, last 2 minutes. See if you can get all of that done for me. Right guys, so very quickly, finish off whatever one you're on, and I'm going to go through it. Right guys, so let's make a start. Right, 390 divided by 6, again very straightforward. Set up your bus stop as you would normally. Six on the outside. I'm going to change colours just to make it a little bit more clear. Okay, 6 doesn't go into 3, so I do 0 and carry the 3 over. 6 goes into 39 6 times from into 3. 6 goes into 30 5 times. So my answer is 65 for the first one, for 2 points. Next one. 36 plus 878. Set it up with column. Even if you feel like you can do this in your head, always follow column addition anyway if you've got pen and paper in front of you. 8 plus 6 is 14. 7 plus 3 plus 1 is 11. 8 plus 1 is 9. 914. 1 point. Next one, 57 times 29. I know I say it all the time, but this is the easiest way to do times in, okay? You can do your own way if you want to, if you're always getting it right. But again, if you haven't got a way, and you haven't got a way that works for you, you just kind of just get stuck when you come to questions like this, always find like the easiest way. This, in my experience, of teaching for ages, is the easiest way. 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. 7 times 2 is 14. 7 times 9 is 63. And 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, once we're there now, first one, all I've got in there is a 3. So it's going to be 3 down the bottom. Next one, I've got a 4, a 6 and a 5, which is 15. Then I've got a 1, a 4, a 0 and a 1, which makes 6. And then a 1 in the last one. So my answer is 1, 6, 5, 3. For 3 points. Next, I got 6x plus 20 equals 92. Again, very straightforward solving equations question. Okay, I'm going to take away 20 from both sides first because I want to get rid of that plus 20. 6x moves straight down. Plus 20 minus 20 is nothing. 92 take away 20 is 72. 6x equals 72. If I divide by 6 now to get x on its own, I end up with x equals 72 divided by 6. You can do it with bus stop if you want to. I know it's 12. 12 for 3 points on that one. Next one. I got 5.7 take away 2.8. Okay, again, line them up. Make sure you got the decimal points lined up with each other. We're taking away 7 take away 8. Remember, you can't do that, so I got to borrow. Turn that into a 4, turn that into a 17. 17 take away 8 is 9. Decimal point moves straight down. 4 take away 2 is 2. So my answer is 2.9 for 2 points. Simplifying again, I like doing shapes, okay? You don't have to do shapes if you don't want to. If you find them annoying, you don't have to do it. As long as you really, really understand it. I like doing shapes because it tells me which ones are the same. Now, it's really important that you get the sign in front of your shape. Okay, I'm going to do a different shape with the other one. I'm even going to do a different colour. Okay, so I'm going to do minus 6y is going to go in an oval, and plus 9y is going to go in an oval. So, once we're there, I've got 5x take away 1x. Remember, these red boxes mean you can only do maths with the stuff inside the red boxes. 5x take away 1x leaves me with, don't need my circles, I want my pen, equals 4x. Minus 6y plus 9y is the same as doing 9 take away 6, gives you plus 3y. So my answer is 4x plus 3y for 1 point. 20% of 540 is similar to what we're doing today. 10% is always the first thing we find out. Chop 0 off is 54. Then I'm going to double that, so I'm going to times both sides by 2. 20% is double that, is going to be 108. 1 point. Next one, 96 share it in the ratio 5 to 3. Okay, so what we got to do, we got 3 steps. You've got to add our ratios up first. So if I add them up, 5 plus 3 equals 8 shares altogether. So I've got to split this £96 8 different ways. Okay, I'm going to do the £96 now. I'm going to divide that by 8. Again, if you can't do that in your head, use bus stop. I'm just going to do it down the bottom. 96 divided by 8. 8 goes into 9 once, remainder 1. 8 goes into 16 twice. Okay, so my answer, 96 divided by 8. Each share is worth £12. Now, one person gets 5, the other person gets 3. The person that gets 5 lots of 12, so they get 60. The person that gets 3 lots of 12 is going to have whatever's left, or 3 lots of 12 is 36. So one person gets £60, the other person gets £36. Okay, ratios are easy, it's always the same thing. Okay, worth learning, very easy topic. That's worth 3 points. Right guys, the very last one. Okay, taking away fractions. Remember, we did something similar on this last week. 7 times 5. I'm going to times the bottoms together because I haven't got the same denominator. You've got to have the same bottom number for this to work. 7 times 5 gives me 35 on the bottom of both. Once I'm there, I'm going to do 5 times 4, which is 20 on the top left, and then 7 times 2, which is 14 on the top right. Okay, once you're there, you can just take away the tops and the bottom stays the same. So the bottom is going to be over 35 as well. 20 take away 14 is 6. My answer is 6 over 35. That can't be simplified anymore. That's worth 2 points. Right, guys, add your scores up. Okay, so all out of 18 points altogether. If you did really, really well, I'm proud of you, okay? Even if you did better than last week, okay? It's all about improving each time. If you are getting these right every single time, what you're doing is you're embedding knowledge into your brain. So what it'll mean, these things will be really difficult for you to forget. And that's so important moving up to school. Right, guys, so what we're doing today, we're doing percentages of amount. Okay, we're going to start easy and then it'll get very difficult very quickly. Remember, if you do understand it, I will put some extension tasks on the board just so you find you've got something to do, okay? Find 10% first. 10%, the way to find 10%, I'm going to put it up here, this bit. 10% is just divide by 10. Okay, it's very, very straightforward, okay, finding 10%. It's always the first one you do. So even if you've got a question like this, whatever question you've got, 45%, whatever, always find 10% first. Now, if you've got a number that's got a 0 on the end, and you're dividing by 10, you can just chop that 0 off. So 10% of 430 is just 43. Very easy. Okay, on the next one, find 20%. Okay, a little bit different. 20%, remember we find 10% first every single time. So I'm going to do that. 10% of 55. We haven't got a 0 to chop off this time. So what we've got to do, we've got to put a decimal point in there. So instead of 55, it's going to be 5.5. Okay, 10% is 5.5. 20% then would be 2 lots of 10%, or 10% added together twice. So all we're going to do is we're just going to be timesing both sides by 2. This one times by 2, 5.5 times 2, or you can just do 5.5, add 5.5, will give you 11. Okay, so 20% of 55 is 11. Okay, guys, once you've got those down, I'd like you always to write the examples down. Maybe worth getting that at the top written down as well. Can you have a go at the 2 questions on the right-hand side? You've got 1 minute to get those down and see if you can get the your turn questions down as well. "30 seconds, guys, and I'm going to go through. When you've done it, give it a like, just so I know you've finished. Right, guys, cool. So 10% of 250, that's an easy one. 10%, let's just chop a 0 off, is 25. The next one, 20% of 34. 10% is always the first one we find every single time. Is going to be 3.4 because I haven't got a 0 to chop off, so I've got to put a decimal point in. Then if I want to find 20%, I'm going to have to double that. So I'm going to be timesing both sides by 2. So 20%, 3.4 times by 2 is going to give me 6.8 or 6.80. Okay, both of those are correct. 6.8 for an answer for 20%. Guys, if you don't quite understand those yet, that's okay. Okay, it's going to be a work in progress. Remember, 10% is always the first one you find, and then you need to double it to find 20. Or if you're looking for 30, you need to times it by 3. Mark those up. Let's move on. Alright guys, so a couple of questions you'd have a go at. Task 1. Okay, if you're really confident, I want you to start on question 7. If you're not so confident, start on question 1. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to get as much of that done as you possibly can. If you finish the whole thing, that's amazing. Remember, show all you're working with these, except for the 10% ones. You don't really need to show as much working for those ones. But remember, with the bigger ones, show all you're working. Show that you found 10% first. Right guys, last minute or so, finish off as many as you can. Right guys, finish off the question you're on. Right guys, cool. So those are the answers, okay? So mark, what have you done so far? If you did find one of these ones difficult down by here, okay? All that's different is you find 10% first, and if we're trying to find 30% of 120 as an example, 10% is 12, and then I have to times it by 3 to get 30%. Not just times it by 2 like we did with 20%, I have to times it by 3 to get 36. Right guys, so if you have missed some answers, okay, I'll come back. Remember, it's on at the end. Okay, it's on there live. You can skip to the bit you want. Okay, it's quite useful. Okay, some more difficult ones now. Okay, these are the ones you'd normally be faced with as you go further up the school. Okay, I'm going to do my answers in red, only because I think it makes it easier to see. Okay, I'm going to find 10% first. That's always my first step. 10% of 430 is 43. Then if I want 30%, exactly the same as I just said, 30%, I'm going to have to times that by 3. Because I know 10 is 43. For 130, I need 3 times that amount. 43 times 3 gives me 129. Very, very straightforward just to start us off. Underneath, 45% of 550. 10%. Before I even think about the question, I'm going to work out 10%. 10% is 55. Okay, once I'm there now, 10% is 55. I want to find out 45%, so I'm going to need to times that by 4 first. 40%. So this times by 4 is 220. Take your time with that. Okay, once you've worked that out, okay, the rest of it is quite straightforward. I want 5%, so I'm going to need not times 10 by anything. I'm going to need to half 10%. If I want 5% and I've got 10, if I half it, I get 5%. 55 halved is 27.5. Then if I want 45%, and you look at the two bottom numbers we've got, I got 40% and 5%. If I add those two together, that will give me 45%. Okay. Adding those together, 220 plus 27.5 is 247.5. Okay, really, really straightforward. Okay, obviously the numbers on the end do contain decimals, so take care with your adding up. Okay, get those examples on the left down for me and have a go at the ones on the right hand side. I think I've given you nicer numbers on the right hand side, so take care with them and have a go. I'll give you just over a minute to get that done. "30 seconds, guys." Right then, so 40% of 600, so 10% first, before I even read the question, 10% equals 60. Okay, then I need 40%, so I need to times both sides by 4. This is how I'd like you to lay your working out all the time, guys. Always keep it like this, because I think it looks neat. Obviously, it doesn't with my big finger, but it looks neat on a pen and pad. Okay, always lay it out like this, and you're showing how you got there as well. 60 times by 4 gives me 240. Very, very straightforward for the first one. 65%, a little more challenging, but we've got a nice number. This is the important number to see if the question is nice or not. If this number is lovely, it'll make the question really easy. 65%, 10% first. 10% is 80. Then I want 60%, because that's the percent underneath. 65. So I'm going to times both sides by 6. 60%. 6 times 80, 6 times 8 is 48, so add a 0 on, is 480. And then I need 5%, okay, because I've got 65. 5% is simply half of 10%, so 5% is going to be 40. Okay, and then to find 65%, it's got to add them up. 65% is 60 plus 5 is 65, and 480 plus 40 is 520. Okay, pat yourself on the back if you got that one right, guys. Not an easy percentage considering what we were just doing. Okay, guys, mark those up. Make sure they're marked for me before we move on. Okay, make sure you understand where you went wrong, if you did go wrong, and if you are struggling, please drop me a message after the session. I'll be more than happy to help you. Right, so task 2. Okay, these are ones for people who are feeling supremely confident. If you're still not feeling confident with working out your fives, okay, have a go at the one on the left. If you are feeling confident, start on the right hand side. Okay, guys, if you're feeling confident, have a go at the ones on the right hand side. If you're not feeling confident, have a go at the left. I'll give you 3 to 4 minutes to get as much done as you can. If you finish all 10, that's fab. Remember to write the question out as well as the answer, okay? And your workings out. I want your workings out looking exactly the same as I laid them out. Just over 2 minutes, guys. See if you can finish all 10 for me. Right, guys, so moving on. Can you mark whatever you've done so far? Again, if you are struggling with certain bits, that's okay. Sorry, I nearly choked on my water then. If you are struggling with certain bits, that's okay. Make sure everything you've done is marked for me so you know whether you're right or wrong. Again, some of these were a little bit trickier. Okay, if you're still on the left-hand side but you got them all right, that's brilliant. Okay, you got most right, that's brilliant too. If you're on the right-hand side and you're smashing it all, I do think one of the sessions later in the week, one of the harder sessions is probably for you. Next one. So, now a little bit of problem solving, okay? Not so much on percentage of amount, just problem solving in general. Vending machine takes only 2, 10 and 20p coins. Anna buys a chocolate bar for 32p. She could use 16 2p's. However, how many different ways are there of putting in 32p into the vending machine? So it's problem solving now. You've got to think of all the different ways she can do it. Okay, how many different combinations are there of 2, 10 and 20p? I'll give you just over 2 minutes. It does take a little bit of thought. I don't want you to just guess. I want you to write down all the different combinations. Obviously, 16 2p's is one of the ways. How many different combinations are there? Write them down for me. If you want to draw the coins out, you can. It's up to you. If you write them down, it'll mean you won't miss one. Last minute or so, guys. Once you have finished, please put a like in the top right hand corner just so I know you're done. Right, guys, so I'm going to very quickly go through this, okay? I'm going to put the answer up, then I'll talk you through it. Okay, so obviously the first way, we've got 16 2p's. Okay, next way, try and do it in a methodical order. That's what this question is testing, okay? It's testing how methodical you can be. Next, the one I thought of is to do 1 10p, and then I think it's 11 2p's, then 2 10p's, and the rest 2p's, then 3 10p's and 1 2p. You could have a 20p and all 2p's, or you could have a 20p, a 10p, and a 2p. Altogether, six different ways. Okay, so it's testing your ability to do methodical. If you did it in a random order, you may have missed one, okay? And that's important to make sure you do it in the right order. Okay, really well done if you got that right. That wasn't easy at all. Right, guys, so just to finish off, okay, a bit of a plenary, okay? bit of multiple choice, okay? I'm going to give you 1 minute for each question, starting now, okay? Multiple choice for each question, 1 minute, see if you can get it right. A, B, C, or D. If you can get all the way to the end, getting most of them right, okay, you really understand percentages and percentage of amount. "30 seconds or so. "10 seconds. So 10% of 60 is 6. 20% then would be double 6, which should be 12. Okay, so for the first one, you should get 12. If you got 12, well done. You understand the basics of the stuff we started right at the start of the lesson. Next one. A little bit harder now. Again, I'll give you just under a minute from now. "30 seconds. "10 seconds. Right then, guys, so 10%, always the first one we find out. 10% of 80 is 8. 5% then would be half of 8, which would be 4. Because you've got a half 10% to get to 5%, so it'd be 4. So well done if you got that right. That was one of the more difficult ones we did today. Next one. Minute from now. "30 seconds. "10 seconds. So 10% of 40 would be 4. 5% of half would be half of 4, which would be 2. 5% plus 10% is how you find 15%. 4 plus 2 gives you an answer of 6. So well done if you got them all right so far. That's fab. Okay. Even if you have made mistakes, don't worry. Okay, there's still loads of questions left. Okay, I think it's the last two, guys. I'm going to cut the time down this time. I'm going to give you 40 seconds now. "20 seconds. "10 seconds. So 10% would be 12. That would mean 30% would be 36. Half of 12, half of 10% is 6. If you add 6 onto 36, you get 42 as an answer. Okay, that was a tricky one. Okay, if you got that right, really, really well done. You're supremely confident on this topic, okay? Last question, okay? This is a difficult one. Twenty seconds. Ten seconds. Right then, so 10% of 180 is 18. Times that by 7. 7 times 18 is 126. If you half 10%, half 18, you get 5%, which is 9. Add 9 onto 126, gives you 135 as an answer. Guys, if you got that one right, that's amazing. Well done. You have mastered percentage of amount. Guys, well done for tuning in. I'm really proud of all of you, okay? Hopefully we'll be back soon. Okay, really well done, just for the people working so hard during this difficult time.